So, Yup comes up with this idea of thick intersectionalities to address some of these concerns that he has with the existing intersectionality research. As he puts it, thick intersectionalities are exploration of the complex particularities of individuals' lives and identities associated with their race, class, gender, sexuality, and national locations by understanding their personal history and their personhood in concrete time and space, right, the here and now, and the interplay between subjectivity, agency, systemic arrangements, and structural forces. Subjectivity is how you are a subject in a certain cultural world. Agency, what power you have to act. Systemic arrangements, understanding the larger systems and structural forces that we've talked about. We've talked a lot about the notion of structural power and so forth in this course, and you can understand what those concepts mean. So, as Gus Yep puts it, right? Thick intersectionalities struggle against coherence and closure of identity. There's an argument against this notion that identities can be fixed. So there's a strong struggling against any kind of coherent or a closure of identity in the sense of, yes, this person is like this, and then we consider that person like that forever. It embraces the messiness of everyday experience. So everything that we go through on a day-to-day basis and how what we experience is fractured and our experience is not fixed and solid with respect to a continuous notion of identity through that process. It focuses on emotional investments, or as we would say, affective experience, affective investment, that we also experience what that person experiences in going through their day-to-day experience. And then it attempts to understand identities as embodied and within certain geopolitical and historical contexts. So let's talk about this a little bit. We're going to use a case study of Tim Wolfe, who is the just recently resigned president of the University of Missouri. And I will leave the slideshow now and show you some information about Tim Wolfe.
As president of the University of Missouri system. My motivation in making this decision comes from love. I love MU, Columbia, where I grew up, the state of Missouri. I have thought and prayed about this decision. It's the right thing to do. The response to this announcement, I'm sure, ranges from joy for some to anger to others, and that's why we're here today.
I make this look easy. As in unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase easy. Any questions? What's in your wallet?
What's the latest? Well, John, let me set the scene for you on Sunday night here in Columbia. Behind me is a prayer circle, and behind that, a tent city, 25 tents strong. It's been up a week, representing solidarity with the students here on campus. I spoke with University of Missouri student president Peyton Head, a senior, who told me that on 2 occasions here, he was confronted with instances of what he called blatant racism, where individuals screamed the N-word at him. He says he is not alone. when he heard what the football players decided to do on Saturday night with their tweet that they would not participate in any more team activities for the time being, Head was overjoyed.
Our athletics, the leadership in athletics, stands behind students. And I think that is so important. I believe a lot of times athletes aren't treated as students, but they are students first and foremost. And I'm very appreciative for Coach Pinkel's leadership.
Like I said, we're just going to all stay together as a team, and we all made this decision as a team to, not talk to media. So you're not going to hear much from the players. So, I mean, this is kind of the outlet for me, from everybody.
Jason, were you guys scheduled to have practice today or anything?
Yes, we were.
And you're not having it now?
We're not having practice anymore.
Any idea when you will?
Whenever this gets resolved.
Head told me that 25-year-old grad student Jonathan Butler, now in his 7th day of a hunger strike, is hanging in there. As Gary Pinkel and Athletic Director Mac Rhodes mentioned on Sunday, that they know the players don't intend to practice until Jonathan Butler eats. However, one player anonymously told our Brett McMurphy that not every player on the team supports the suspension of team activities. As the player told McMurphy, half the players and coaches, both black and white, do not agree with no longer practicing. And John, they said if we were 9-0, this wouldn't be happening.
We both know why I'm here. In fact, I'll bet you know what I'm about to say, don't
you? Okay, so who is Tim Wolf? Tim Wolf is the son of academics. So his father was a long-term communications professor. His mother ended up being a law professor at a certain point. And so he lived in university towns his whole life, from Iowa City, Iowa to Columbia, Missouri, which is where the University of Missouri comes from. Obviously, he has European-American background, and he comes from pretty significant privilege, especially being the child of parents with advanced degrees. His own experience is that he has a bachelor's business degree, and then he took a month-long business seminar at Harvard, but he doesn't have a terminal degree, so he doesn't have a graduate degree. He worked in the computer industry in the sales division, rose up the ranks in the sales division. He has no personal academic employment experience, and there was a lot of concern about that. In fact, the paper of record in Missouri criticized the Board of Regents for hiring him without having any experience in employment in higher education. So from the sense of messiness, right? So we have identity. These are all the factors of identity, social identity. We can think of the messiness as a university president without professional experience in higher education, although he was raised in an academic household. So he'd have experience understanding the life of an academic, but he has no experience doing the work of an academic, and as a result, that won't give him the credibility within the academic environment. We have an issue now where boards of regents, which aren't academics, are hiring university presidents, and we're seeing more and more of that move to try to hire business people to run universities, because business people are the ones that are the Board of Regents people, and they think that universities are just like businesses. But we've seen fairly consistently through the field that doesn't really work, because these people don't really understand what higher education is and how you do an effective governance of higher education. So you can think of the job as a university president as requiring many different hats. So you do have to be a business person. You do have to be able to talk to other business people, especially the Board of Regents, which is normally business people. You have to engage a lot of different constituencies, both internal constituencies and external constituencies, and you need to be able to really engage in complex critical thinking, because the people who you're going to be supervising, in a sense, leading, are people who have been trained in complex critical thinking, and the students are doing complex critical thinking, so you need to have the capacity to do the same type of complex critical thinking. We'll talk a little bit more about this case study in our next presentation.